The idea of free will, it's a big one, right? It touches on basically everything we value. Our ideas about morality, our legal system, our closest relationships, even how proud we feel of our own achievements, it all seems to hang on this belief that we are in the driver's seat, that we're the authors of our own lives. But what if that powerful feeling of control is just that, a feeling? Okay, let's just jump right in with a simple question. You're here watching this right now. Was that a conscious choice you made, totally free from all the events that came before it? Or did the impulse to click just bubble up, a result of 1,000 different factors you're not even aware of? Let's dig into the argument that free will might be the most powerful and convincing illusion we live by. So, first things first, we need to tackle why this idea is so hard to shake. And it really comes down to a feeling, doesn't it? This incredibly strong personal experience that we're in charge, that we're the ones steering the ship. I mean, think about your day so far. You chose coffee over tea. You decided to check your phone. Later, you might decide who to marry or where to live. In every single one of those moments, it feels like you, your conscious self, are the one making the final call. That sense of authorship is just always there. This whole popular concept of free will really leans on two giant assumptions. Number one, that if you could rewind the clock, you could have made a different choice. And number two, that you, your conscious mind, are the source of your thoughts and actions. But the argument we're exploring today, based on the work of Sam Harris, says, nope, both of those assumptions are almost certainly false. So let's turn to the science, because this is where our gut feeling about being in control starts to run into some pretty challenging, hard-to-ignore data. This quote just nails it. Think about it for a second. An intention, like, I think I want some water, isn't something your conscious mind manufactures. It just appears. It pops into your awareness. We don't really decide on our desires. We just become aware that we have them. And this isn't just a philosophical idea, it's actually measurable. Now look, the interpretation of these studies is still hotly debated, but some absolutely landmark fMRI experiments found that scientists could predict which button a person was about to press a full 7 to 10 seconds before the person themselves felt they had made a decision. Your brain has already made the call long before you are let in on the secret. So the sequence seems to go like this. First, all this activity kicks off deep in the unconscious parts of your brain. Then, the decision gets locked in. And only then, as the very last step in the process, does your conscious mind get the memo, and you get that feeling of, okay, I've decided. Consciousness isn't the CEO making the call. It's more like the press secretary reading a statement that's already been written. So if the science is pointing in this direction, how does philosophy try to save free will? Well, the most popular defense is a view called compatibilism. But as we're about to see, the argument against it is that it doesn't really solve the core problem. It just changes the definition of freedom. Compatibilists basically say, look, you're free as long as you can act on your desires without somebody holding a gun to your head. If you want to eat ice cream and you go and eat ice cream, you've acted freely. And that sounds perfectly reasonable, right? But it dodges the deeper question, where did that desire for ice cream come from in the first place? Did you choose to want it? Harris uses this fantastic analogy. He argues that what compatibilism really says is that a puppet is free as long as he loves his strings. We might enjoy the desires and impulses our brain serves up, but if we aren't the ones who chose the strings that are pulling us, can we really say we're free? And here's the real disconnect. We feel like we are the little voice in our heads, the conscious witness. We don't feel like we are the sum total of our brain's unconscious neurophysiology. So saying your brain is you, so its choices are your choices, kind of misses the whole point of why we believed in free will to begin with, that specific feeling of conscious control. Okay, this is where all the theory gets very, very real. If our choices aren't truly our own in the way we think they are, what on earth does that mean for concepts like good and evil, crime and punishment? The implications for our society are just enormous. To make this point, Harris brings up the truly terrible home invasion case from Cheshire, Connecticut. And our immediate gut reaction to acts of pure evil like that is that the perpetrators are monsters. They chose to do this, and they deserve our absolute hatred and the most severe punishment possible. But then, you learn about their backgrounds, the history of abuse, the clear psychological damage, and suddenly our black and white certainty starts to get a little gray. This is the question that cuts right to the heart of our entire system of justice.
Think about it. None of us chose our genes. We didn't choose our parents or the environment we grew up in. So if a criminal's actions are the unavoidable end product of that whole causal chain, what does it even mean to say he is truly to blame? This table just isolates the variable perfectly. A 4-year-old who does something terrible, it's a tragic accident. A 12-year-old with a history of abuse, we feel sympathy, and we assign less guilt. But now check out the last two cases. The act is identical. But the moment we discover a brain tumor in case 5, our entire moral calculus flips. Suddenly, the man goes from being a monster to being a victim of his own biology. And that is the central challenge. The tumor is a clear physical cause for the man's terrible behavior that we can point to. But aren't bad genes also a physical cause? Isn't a traumatic childhood, which physically shapes the brain, also a physical cause? They're just harder to see on a scan. The tumor makes the principle obvious, but the argument is that the same principle applies to everyone, in one way or another. So wow, if this all sounds kind of depressing, like it unravels our whole sense of blame and responsibility, hang on, because the argument takes a really surprising and counterintuitive turn here. It suggests that letting go of the illusion of free will can actually be liberating. This is a really crucial point. This is not fatalism. Saying your choices are determined is not the same thing as saying your choices don't matter. They absolutely matter. Your decision to get out of bed is a critical cause in the chain of you getting out of bed. But understanding the deeper causes of that decision, well, that can radically change how you see yourself and everyone around you. And this shift in viewpoint can actually have some incredible benefits. If you truly see that people are, in a very deep way, unlucky to have the minds and desires they have, it becomes a lot harder to hate them. It can foster a real sense of compassion. You might feel less entitled about your own successes, recognizing the huge role that luck played. And maybe most importantly, we can all stop focusing so much on blame and start focusing on what actually works, changing the conditions that lead people to do harmful things in the first place. This metaphor just perfectly captures that shift. You're no longer this tiny pilot desperately trying to steer your ship through a chaotic storm. You realize you are the whole thing. You're the pilot, the ship, and the storm itself, all rolled into one natural process. So to wrap this up, let's just try a quick experiment right now. Just stop and wait for your next thought to arise. Don't try to create it, just be ready to notice it when it shows up. Okay, there it was. Now ask yourself, where did it come from? Did you choose it before it appeared, or did it just arrive fully formed? Simply observing your own mind might be the most convincing evidence of all.